The U.S. President Donald Trump confirming he will impose a 25% levy on all Canadian and Mexican imports starting tomorrow. But he will decide by the end of the day whether tariffs will also be slapped on crude oil imports.
We'll be announcing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a number of reasons. Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl, and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits.
So what are these tariffs that, if they are imposed, would upend American trade with Canada and Mexico and possibly China? In his second term, Mr. Trump has signaled a more aggressive and fast-paced trade policy, promising blanket tariffs on goods imported into the United States. Mexico, China, Canada, the first in his sights, they account for together for nearly $3 trillion of goods, or 42% of total U.S. imports. They've been in the crosshairs of Mr. Trump's tariff threats, with rates of up to 25% proposed on goods from Canada and Mexico. The measures aim to address issues like illegal immigration and the fentanyl crisis. For China, the U.S. president has floated a 10% tariff. That's a far cry from the 60% that he had proposed during his campaign to be president. But they do build on trade tensions of Mr. Trump's first term in office, which saw the launch of a trade war with China in the year 2018, in an attempt to reduce the U.S.'s growing trade deficit. The first salvo was a 25% tariff on $34 billion of Chinese imports. The tariffs escalated in the ensuing months, with the total amount reaching $360 billion by the end of 2019. In retaliation, China imposed tariffs on $110 billion of U.S. products. The standoff led to the Phase 1 trade deal between the Trump administration and China in early 2020. The agreement required China to purchase an additional $200 billion of U.S. goods by the end of 2021, covering manufacturing, energy, agriculture, and services. The deal also involved tariff reductions on some imports from China. However, that deal fell short of its ambitious targets. The Peterson Institute for International Economics, in a 2022 report, said China only achieved 58% of its agreed-upon targets, with sectors like agriculture performing better than energy, although it did acknowledge that the disruption to trade from the COVID-19 pandemic complicated efforts to meet the targets of that agreement. Under the Biden administration, the focus shifted to diplomacy. But Mr. Trump's tariffs were largely kept in place. They generated over $233 billion in customs duties by early 2024, with more than half collected during Mr. Biden's presidency. In light of mixed results for Phase 1, President Trump has ordered a review of the deal to determine China's compliance with its commitments. That review is set to conclude by the 1st of April.